Hey guys, welcome to the Great American Outdoor Show.
My name is Myron, by the way.
Myron, pleased
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just a couple quick questions. How did you get into outfitting and who got you started with that?
Well, I basically grew up into a family of hunters and trackers, and so I decided early on, because I learned from my grandfather and my uncles, that when I got old enough, I was going to get my guide's license and do it.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it now for over 40 years. So
Do you find that it's hard to now find replacements for younger guys to do what you do?
well, we got to get the young involved, and the NRA does a great job of doing that. You see a lot of kids walking around here, and that's a wonderful thing. I do seminars all over the country for 4.5 months every winter, and I love to see the kids walking around and the families walking around at sportsman shows, because that's our future. You got to teach your kids. We do a deer tracking and stalking school at my place 3 or 4 times a year, and I just had a couple book in from West Virginia with their young son. That's what it's all about. That getting the kids involved and the wives involved and the girlfriends involved.
Do you think that social media and YouTube and stuff like that has helped the industry or kind of hurt it?
I think certain parts of social media are good for business. As long as everybody's respectful. And the only problem I see is some people get on there, and I call it computer backbone. They talk like they know everything, and they really don't.
They're brave online.
Brave online, you know what I mean? The best way to become a good guide is learn from a good guide. And it's the woodsmanship that's more important than anything,
Yeah, so I've been hunting for many years, but what's new to me is the tracking. We don't do a lot of tracking. We're locked into smaller parcels and stuff like that. What is a common mistake that newer hunters make when they come? They come out to you, they want to do this for the first time. What's the number 1 or 2 mistakes they make?
Well, first of all, you need to know how to use a map and compass. All that technology does not, GPSs and all that stuff, that does not take the place of good old-fashioned woodsmanship. This is the first thing I put on every morning of my life. Where I live, it's your lifeline. And teaching kids at a young age how to use a map and compass and eliminate that fear of getting lost, they're going to be way better woodsmen, way better hunters in the long run. That's important stuff.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the newer technologies that are coming along, like the drone recovery tools, all the trail cameras, and now people are placing trail cameras and they're just using that as a guide to know where to go out to hunt? What are your thoughts on all that? Now, I know it's very different for you. You track deer, but what are your thoughts on those two subjects?
It makes people lazy. I have a lot of guides that work for me. I got over a dozen guides that work for me, and I will not let them put out trail cameras. Even though they may not like it, I will not allow them to put out trail cameras for at least 6 weeks in the woods. I want them to know here what's going on already. Do the work. Do the legwork. You want to know what's out there already long before you put up any trail cameras. And I think that's where people, they're looking for a shortcut, and there are no shortcuts. There's no substitute for old-fashioned woodsmanship skills. None.
And your thoughts on the drones for deer recovery? Do you support that, or do you think that could lead down other paths?
I've never used one, so I don't want to be overly critical, but a good woodsman should be able to find what they're looking for in the first place. You know what I mean? Tracks don't lie. You know what I mean? How we find our animals is we track them. Whether they're wounded or before they're shot at, we track them. You got concrete evidence there on the ground in front of you. You follow that track to the end, it's going to come to a deer or a bear or whatever you're looking for. Tracks don't lie. I think the whole woodsmanship skills are what is needed more than anything else, and no amount of technology is ever going to substitute for that.
For those that are very unfamiliar with tracking deer, the difference between a small buck track and a larger buck track is what?
Well, first of all, you got to know the difference between a buck track and a doe track, okay? Now, it's very simple, okay? God made does narrower in the front and wider in the back for giving birth. God made bucks wider in the front and narrower in the back to carry that big neck, that big chest, that big shoulders, that big rack of horns. So it's very simple to know the difference between a buck and a doe track, no matter what anybody says, you know, if you know what you're looking for, just by how God made them in the first place.
Just by following a lot of tracks. That's how you figured
A
out.
lot of tracks, yeah. Absolutely. And a good tracker should be able to tell you the difference between a buck and a doe track in the snow or in the gravel when they're driving 10 miles an hour in their truck. And it has nothing to do with dew claws. That's an old wives' tale. You know, all deer have dew claws. The heavier the deer, the more they show.
In the 2025 season, what was your favorite story? Somebody came out, they booked with you, and you took them out. What was your favorite story for the season?
Well, we had a great season. We do a hunt called a learn to track and stalk hunt, where we take people one-on-one, and we teach them tracking and stalking skills. And if they really want to learn and they pay attention, they have that thirst for knowledge, they pick it up. We had a great young man from Pennsylvania shot his second big buck with us this year, tracking and stalking, because he has that thirst for knowledge and he wants to learn, and he's doing great at it. You got to want it. Mindset is everything. It's everything, you know.
So he was your favorite hunt specifically for the year?
Yeah, no doubt.
Just because of his knowledge base, and you took someone out, you sharpened his skills that much more.
Exactly right. And what happens is when people come on a learn to track and stalk hunt, not only do we have more success, and they have more success shooting deer up with us, but they take the knowledge and the techniques that we've taught them, and they take them home to their home state, and they have more success there too. So it's a win-win situation for everybody involved, because there's no substitute for knowledge, you know.
Absolutely. One more question and we'll wrap up here. If you were to choose 5 of your favorite tracking states in the country, you could only hunt in 5 states, which 5 would you choose?
Maine, New Hampshire, probably Northeast Vermont. West Virginia is a sleeper state. Great state, you know, and probably, you know, the Wayne National Forest in Ohio, you know, because I hunt big woods. I don't hunt small pieces, so I'm looking to go, you know, and of course Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, you know, Minnesota, and of course the Canadian provinces. I only live 10 miles from New Brunswick, Canada. That's another great place where you can get on a track and get on it and go, you know.
Yeah.
But you got to have the woods. You know, you got to have big enough woods where you can do it. You know.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Great meeting you.
Great meeting you.
Thanks. So Drew here with Drew and Lee.
How's it going?
Hello. You guys look shot. Not surprised by that. So hey, I want to ask you first, Drew.
Okay.
Where did you guys meet? How did you guys start hunting together? How did that all happen?
Yeah. Well, we met in middle school. I think 8th grade homeroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got a detention together the first day, and the rest is history.
Yeah, like the first 10 minutes.
Solidified the friendship
Yeah.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Started fishing together first, and then after probably a year of fishing, we started bow hunting in Atlanta together. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool. For any new hunters, like that's what I love about you guys. You guys are inspiring so many new hunters. What would you say is like a great way for any new hunter just to jump in? Like now everything's like YouTube, social media. This is how people are hearing about guys like you and getting into it. Is that still one of the best ways to get started? Or would you say grab a mentor? Is there another strategy?
I would say if you can, grab a mentor, just because hunting can be pretty complicated and a pretty big barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Like if we had someone there that, which we did eventually, like Jay and Kendall were both mentors to us, but having someone that can be there like looking over your shoulder cuts the learning curve big time. But I mean, there's tons of information on YouTube too, so you can do it both
100%.
ways.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I would say first-hand experience always wins, but for sure, I mean, there's a lot of information out there, but until you actually go do it yourself, I don't feel like those lessons or information you absorb online like really sink in. But 100%, like always try to find a mentor. Jay and Kendall were ours for sure, but you know, going out and doing and making your own mistakes is definitely the best.
Still the best way to
learners.
learn.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so if there was like one celebrity that you guys would choose to hunt with, who would you hunt with?
Ooh,
I
that's
mean, you're kind of becoming celebrities yourselves. I mean, you got security around you now, so who else?
I don't know, like a hunting celebrity or just a celebrity in
No,
general?
just any celebrity. Who would you want to hunt with? Can you imagine taking Trump out?
Yeah, that would be an interesting
It'd be a
one.
disaster.
Yeah, I know. Actually, well, this is kind of off the wall one, but we got some blowguns in the office lately, and kind of become a fan of Slockmaster lately.
Dude,
with the
blowguns are sweet. With the old pin darts, like they first started selling them here many years ago. The old pin darts. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. So if Slock wants to go on a blowgun hunt, let's do it.
A blowgun hunt, nice. Cool. So, what was your favorite hunt of 2025 for both of you guys? I know you just shot one. What was your favorite hunt of 2025?
Favorite hunt of 25 was probably I killed a big mule deer in the Midwest, so that was a great hunt. I don't know, man. I went on a mule deer hunt in Montana before that. That was a lot of fun, like really cool terrain. I don't know. I like all of it.
Yeah.
The more adventurous, the better for me. So I like the Western stuff the most. Yeah.
I noticed that you kind of tend to roam out a little bit more. You like some of those bigger hunts. You?
I got to back up and give you the celebrity answer. I was too excited to give you mine.
Yeah, you never.
I feel like Conor McGregor would be wild to take hunting.
He would jump out of the tree onto the deer. Yeah. Dude, that's a super great answer.
But favorite hunt was for sure spot and stalk in Kansas. I love open country, and I love just like the spot and stalk style of deer hunting.
Was that the state that you had that one where you snuck up to the edge and shot out and the deer came out? Was that wasn't Kansas? What state was that?
Not Kansas. I will maintain my silence on the state.
Oh, okay. So, all right, gotcha. Sounds good. Fair enough. So appreciate you guys and all you guys are doing. You guys are dropping some awesome content. Keep it up. Tell us real quick about yourself. You're Melissa, obviously.
Yep.
Tell us how you got into hunting and what keeps you hunting.
Well, my name is Melissa Bachman. I'm the host of Winchester Deadly Passion, and I got into hunting. I think I started shooting a bow at 5. It's all I ever wanted to do. And my goal was to find a way to hunt every single day. That was my dream. And I went to college, and they're like, not exactly the best job, you know. And I thought, no, we can figure it out. I got a double major in television production and Spanish, and then I went out looking for a job. Nobody'd hire me. All I wanted to do was just be a cameraman and editor. That's what my background was in, but nobody was interested. So I actually worked for free, got my foot in the door, became a producer and editor, and then kind of built my way up. And now I've owned my own show for 16 years, and I'm able to do it every day.
The hunting was just the why.
Yeah, I didn't know another way to make a living hunting. I don't love the TV part always. I don't love the social media aspect of it. I love to hunt. And I think people can see that authentic piece of you and how much you love it. And for me now, it's more about getting families involved and bringing more people into the sport. And we have 5 kids ourselves. I would let them shoot every animal I ever could if that was possible.
So since you brought it up, you mentioned social media and YouTube and stuff like that. Do you think that had a negative impact on the industry at all, or overall good?
You know, I look at it as an opportunity. There's an opportunity out there for kids. My son is 7. He loves watching YouTube. He doesn't watch TV that much. So I look at it as it's a bonus for kids to have that dream. As a little girl growing up in Minnesota, I only knew about deer hunting. I didn't know you could go alligator hunting and after elk and crocs and hippos and all these things. But I think YouTube has helped expand that. Now, of course, there's always drawbacks. There's always negative aspects to it. Sometimes I see kids who get so worked up about the size of an animal that they forget to go out there, have fun,
Enjoy
and
themselves.
It. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. So if you were to pick 5 states of hunting, which would be your top 5?
Well, South Dakota, because that's my home state. Right. Illinois, we have land there, and I've always been a huge Illinois fan. I really love Montana. We go to Montana every year and rattle the river bottoms. We go to the Powder River, and it's phenomenal. You just get whitetails out of there. I love Iowa. It's hard to draw Iowa, but boy, they have some big bucks. And I also like Kansas. I've had very good luck in Kansas and can usually draw every other year.
Yeah, some wild country.
Yeah.
I mean, the first states you mentioned, it's like really wild country. You don't hear those as people's number one like whitetail destination. So what else do you like to hunt other than whitetail?
Well, whitetails have always been my favorite because that's what I grew up with. I love elk hunting. Elk is so interactive. It's so fun. I also love turkey hunting. Again, it's, you know, you've been cooped up all winter. You want to get out, do something fun. I love that interaction. And even with deer hunting, you know, as I grew up, I was more of a deer hunter where I sat on stand. Now it's all about learning to interact with them and to call them, to bring them in, to decoy them. And that's what a lot of the seminars that I'm doing here are kind of teaching people ways to make it more of a fun, interactive experience. You're not getting them every single time, but boy, you're having fun out there.
So they say we're losing hunters. What can we do to change that?
I think the number one thing is finding more youth seasons. I really am a firm believer in these youth seasons because what it does is it allows kids to get out there, their very own time to get out there to have fun, and it's all about them. And I think if we can hook them at a young age, you can keep them a part of it. The other thing I think we need to do as a hunting community, we need to be more welcoming. I get nervous, especially sometimes on social media, where you'll get people who start, degrading someone else for whatever it may be. And there's nothing worse. Who would want to come into an industry where you feel like everyone's going to jump all over?
It can be discouraging.
Yes.
The barrier of entry is something that seems to be getting tougher and tougher. It seems like it's becoming more of a rich person sport. And what would you say is a good way to overcome that?
One thing I like to do, I have an app called Hunt Stand, and it allows you to find all the public land in your areas, who owns the land. And what we've found, even turkey hunting, we literally still go knock on doors and get permission. And it's amazing how much you can go up to someone, not offering them money, offering them help. Maybe it's an older lady who could need help moving some things, and she's like, hey, you're young people, could you help me? That goes a lot further than just coming in with cash, and for someone like us, it works well.
Having the courage to step in there and introduce yourself and make an acquaintance and offer to help them with something, that's a great strategy for sure. So are there any specific tools that you're using that help you? We know the trail camera is huge, and I don't know if you're hunting mostly private or public land, what's your number one tool that you like to use in the field?
Truthfully, I like to hunt over water. I'm a huge believer in hunting over water. All of our whitetail setups, we have a water tank there. And even if there's water, maybe a creek nearby or a pond, what we do is we add a water hole where there's two crossing of an intersection of trails. And what it does is those big bucks, they like to stay in cover. They don't want to go out to the open and go get a drink at a pond. So you give them the water where they want to be. You set up your spot accordingly, and it can be truly one of the best things, especially late season. If you can keep that water open, it is better than any feed you could ever put. A lot of places I hunt, you can't bait. Water's better than any of it.
Yep. If you can create that pinch point, the water hole, and the whole setup that comes together, that's the key, huh? So what other strategies would you recommend for a new hunter in the sense of learning the skills? How would you start? What's the very basics? Go out and buy a bow, buy a gun, find a mentor, get on YouTube. What's the very, very beginning stage?
I think one of the most important things is getting the right equipment, asking the right questions, whether that's a gun to start, a bow to start. Make sure it's something that fits you, that you're comfortable with, that you know. And I think it's really important to have a mentor because you need someone to ask those questions, to bounce that off and say, what do I do here? Or I have a deer down, I don't know anything about this in the field. You can learn a lot from YouTube or TV shows, but you want to have someone in the field that you can ask those questions to, and then buy the right gear. I like to, as girls, most girls like to look the part, right? I'm terrible at golf, but if I'm going to go out there, boy, I'm going to look
You're going to look while you're out there, yeah.
So the same with girls, they make DSG clothing now. They have all this stuff that makes it so you feel confident when you're out there, and I think it's really important.
All right, only two more questions. So for yourself personally and for your kids, what are your two most favorite hunting stories for 2025 season?
Actually, some of my favorite are with our kids, of course. Jax loves turkey hunting. He's becoming a phenomenal turkey hunter. He has been turkey hunting since he was 3 years old, and last year...
And he got one this year?
He's got one every year since 3.
Oh, wow.
And he's 7 now, so he is absolutely a phenomenal turkey hunter. Those are some of the best moments. And also, I love going out hunting with my husband. We've done brown bear hunts together. My husband shot a brown bear at 4 yards.
Oh my goodness.
With his bow and arrow.
Did you get it on camera?
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. So those kind of memories, that was one part of it, but being out there for 10 days in a tent in the middle of nowhere, no water, I think it really is a great bonding experience.
So now you're making me lie because I have one more question.
Yes.
Do you guys film all of your hunts or not all of your hunts?
We film all of them. I don't, right now we do a lot of coyote hunting, we do a lot of trapping. All that doesn't necessarily make it to episodes right away, but I love to film. I love that aspect of it, and I have to do so many shows a year that I want to try to get everything I can on camera because, to be honest, I would be really disappointed if I went out, shot a huge buck, and knew it could have been beautiful footage and was too lazy to bring the camera with. So for me, it's as much of a challenge to get the animal as it is to get that
Very
beautiful
difficult.
footage.
We're just figuring that out.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good show.
Yes,
Take
thank
care.
you. Take care.
So Tony, a lot of people have properties where they're heavily wooded and they don't have a lot of ag
Yep.
advantages. Your property is what, 30-40% ag versus
Well, it's
wooded?
almost split right in half. I own 52 acres, 23 acres is woods, the rest is field.
So for somebody that doesn't have that and all they have is wooded,
They
have
got to make some openings.
So let's say they just have a few mountaintops here and there. We're in northern Pennsylvania.
Yep.
There's a lot of mountain regions. You have very little area on the tops.
Yeah.
What would you suggest if, let's say, somebody has 100 acres or 200 acres and only 20 acres of flat top?
So what a lot of guys will do is want to go in and try to doze out a bigger chunk, and you're better off. I'll use this for an example for everybody. Everybody may want to do an acre food plot, okay? You're better to have 2 half acres than an acre. You're better to have 4/4 of an acre than you are that
Break it
1
up
acre.
a little bit.
Yeah, because now the buck wants to mark each one.
Otherwise, they just walk in, look around, and they take off.
Yes, and then it gives you different stand sites. They should be for different wind directions. Everything needs to be taken into consideration when you're looking at your property. That's why I do land management. But the one thing that I take the most pride is I've done 220 boot camps at my place where people come and see everything. They learn over 400 and some topics in the 2-day course. I change the way people hunt, look at the woods and everything, because I teach true deer behavior.
Yeah. So you've been obviously teaching, and you're a legend in the industry for many years, but what have you learned, say, in the last 3 years that you've adopted that you didn't do before? Is there anything that you've learned or adopted?
There's just so much that I have learned that I keep doing. This year is my super boot camp, and this is stuff that in just the last 5 years, the things that I have figured out that is just unbelievable. But I'm not going to tell you what they are.
You're not going to share the secret.
No, because I'm going to be honest with you. I have always been the guy that thinks outside the box, and I'm the first guy to ever build beds. I'm the first guy to tell people to plant screens in there. And it's American. Everybody has the right to jump on the bandwagon, okay? But they never come up with the thing first. If I mention a topic, all of a sudden everybody else starts talking about it, and then in their minds they make up what it is, and all of a sudden everybody thinks they got it, and yet the guy was totally wrong on his thing. And I don't care that he's in business, but I'm not going to help him.
But there's still a lot of people coming up in the business, Tony, that are new to hunting,
Yeah.
that find your content
Yes.
and love what you teach.
And I don't-
so even
I
if
don't-
there's these guys
yeah.
coming in that think they know it all, you
Yeah.
still always have a new audience.
Yes, I
And that's
understand
something
that.
we focus on. What would you say to a new hunter? What's the first thing, or where would you tell a new hunter to go to learn whitetail hunting strategies?
I always say this to people when they come up to my booth or whatever. I said, if you got a piece of property, lucky enough to own land, right now you've already beat the odds. Then if you think about deer all the time, while you're at work and all that stuff, you're a fanatic. I'm the guy you want to spend 2 days with. And I always say, I don't care what you do for a living and what you want to do for a hobby, but once you find out what interests you, don't waste time. You want to know why I am who I am? I put all my energy. I watched the Super Bowl last night, and it's the first game I watched all year. I do not waste time
And you didn't miss much.
No, but the point I'm getting at, most men figure out something they want, and then they spend most of their time, if they keep track of their time, it's in stuff that don't even have nothing to do with their passion.
That's right, they're all over the place.
They're all over. I'm a man that picked 2 things, Indian artifacts and white-tailed deer, and all my energy goes into them 2 fields, and other than that, I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm never going to be a jack of all trades, because I said I want to be great at a couple of things and not mediocre at everything.
What is your opinion on thermal drone recovery strategies and allowing and making it lawful for thermal drone recovery? Do you think that'll cause problems or not?
Here's the problem with everything. 90% of the world are good old boys. 10% will use everything wrong. So once a deer is hit, should we be able to go get that with a thermal? Yes. Problem is now guys are buying them that want to kill big bucks. They run that thing up there that they ain't supposed to.
They're chasing them around.
And then start finding out where the deer, if the deer ain't there today, they don't hunt. You know, I'm an old boy, don't use cameras, don't do none of that stuff. I show people, the only reason I started putting cameras on my farm is for education for boot camps. I killed all my big bucks and walls with old-fashioned woodsmanship. And I said, guys, it ain't nothing wrong to have some of the new technology, but if you ain't a good old boy that knows all the basics, I'm an old-fashioned trapper, learn that, and now them are just another tools in your toolbox.
Do you think that we're going out and, you know, a picture pops up on my camera Do you think that a lot of hunters are tending to go out to those spots rather than strategically thinking it through?
No doubt.
Yeah, and you think that happens a lot?
Yeah, it happens a lot, and that's why I said, guys, you really need to learn the animal, how he thinks, why he picked that spot, and really, one of my podcasts, I said, you need to understand how a big buck thinks, and you got to get in his mind.
Yeah.
I said, and I'll tell you something right here, and a lot of people, guys like me, we're either liked or hated because we're borderline crazy. That's the way we look at things differently. The point I'm getting at is on these big bucks, most people try to hunt them as a predator. We're the greatest predator ever walked the earth. So a predator mind says, I need a 5-acre food plot, I want to put a box blind in the middle, and when he comes out, I'm going to kill him. But the big buck is over in the corner looking through a little hole underneath the brush and goes,
he's watching.
Yeah, and he's 5 years old. He goes, I'll never go out there. All my stands at my boot camp, I become the deer and I design it through his eyes, and he'll walk right out and stand in front of me every time because it looks like nobody else's setups. Because guess what? Most people, once a buck gets 3.5 years of age, they leave the property because they made too many predator mind decisions, and the buck looks around, everything's too big, it's not laid out right, he's scared, and
I'm out of here.
He's out of here. So you got to understand the best thing you can do is start thinking a lot smaller than what most people think.
Mm-hmm. So only 2 more questions that I got for you, one of which is regulations in general.
Yeah.
You're from Minnesota, but
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah,
sorry.
Michigan.
Overall, do you think there's too many regulations, and is there one in particular that you don't like?
Well, there's several, okay? I like Ohio because they let you do what you need to do, okay? They keep a good eye. I'm from Michigan. I do not like our setups at all. They have the gun season too long, and they shoot too many deer at the wrong time. And the other thing is they're worried about baiting and all these other things, and you can say it. Guys, I'm down in southern Michigan. The UP is a different world in the same state. They try to get a plan that basically covers the
One
whole
size
thing,
fits all.
fits all. And so a guy up there owns 200 acres, but he has nothing but woods or a mountaintop like in Pennsylvania. Now, if that guy don't have a way to put minerals or feed out there once in a while to bring deer in there and maintain a herd, he's just out of it. So why would he own the land? I'm down there where I can plant it. I don't like it that in certain areas we need to have food in the wintertime to keep these herds. Even if we don't use them during hunting season, they should be able to be used after the season, immediately be able to start keeping the deer healthy and the herd, and then before season you should be able to do it. There is a better way than to just say, no, we ain't doing it, never.
Yeah. No, that's good. One more thing, forget everybody else, all your teaching, all your classes. For Tony, what was your favorite memory from the season last year, 2025?
Well, last year was a little different. I mean, it was actually my worst year in all my life of deer hunting. And because we had EHD down on Indiana, we lost all the deer. I mean, not a little bit. There's not even does alive down there no more. You see 50, 60 deers a normal day. There ain't nothing down there.
Really?
2 days I seen 6 deer. And so that was bad. And I shot a nice buck in Ohio, but I'll be honest with you, I made my new super boot camp and I finished it all up, and I'm a man that's very proud of my knowledge. And I made all this new stuff going to be available to everybody this year. And when I was out there, and this winter, I just got done photographing everything in the snow, the beds, all the new stuff, and everything's working just like I talked about. I'm a pretty proud man.
Do a quick shout out for your new program.
Well, it's the new Super Whitetail Boot Camp, and we got 8 classes right now that's available online. And basically, it's where anybody that's been there, they couldn't have been there last year. It's a whole new series, and then we got 8-foot screen. So not only do we walk it all, we come in, we got a book that follows everything we walked, and then now I got a picture in the wintertime, everything working with the snow, so you can learn everything.
Yep. We're excited to come. We wanted to come last year, but didn't make it happen. But thank you so much, Tony. Hey, good luck with your show.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all you do.
I love it, as you can tell.